Done, Thangache, sir?
Yes, 1 second, sir. 1 second, please. Yes, please. Yes.
Before we start, may I request all the participants to kindly mute your mic so that with the permission of your lordship, if I may be allowed to start the program. Can we start, lordship?
Yes, please.
Please, sir. Good evening, everyone. Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Honorable Sri Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Mr. N. Rai, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, High Court of Sikkim. Mr. U.P. Sharma, Senior Mediator. Respected seniors, gurus, mentors of the EMW team, mediators from across the country, President of the Bar, executive members, members of the bar, students, and other distinguished guests and respected members of the entire EMW family spread across the country. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Thankajan and Madam Push for choosing the state of Sikkim this time for the launch of the 15th special edition of the E-Magazine in collaboration with the Bar Association of Sikkim High Court and Subordinate Court. The launch of this special edition becomes all the more special since the same is dedicated in memory of late Mr. D.S. Parikh, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, who left for his heavenly abode very recently at the age of 94 on the 20th of January 2022. Mr. Parikh, till his last days, was actively associated with the EMW team and had always been a source of inspiration and motivation for the team. The EMW team shall remain forever indebted to him for his constant guidance and blessings that he bestowed upon the EMW team. His presence today is deeply missed. The launch of this edition of the magazine also becomes very special because of the fact that on the 8th day of the month of March every year, we celebrate International Women's Day to extend our respect to women's contribution in our society in multiple ways. And we couldn't have had anyone better than her ladyship herself amidst us as the chief guest for the launch of this special edition of the magazine from the state of Sikkim. On behalf of the entire EMW team spread across 32 states and union territories in India, I'm extremely overwhelmed to get this opportunity to extend my warm welcome to Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai. We're grateful to her ladyship for accepting our invitation, and we're so honored to have her as the chief guest for today's magazine launch. Likewise, we would also like to extend our warm welcome to Honorable Sri Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge, High Court of Sikkim, for accepting our invitation to be the guest of honor for today. We really appreciate your lordship being with us today, despite your lordship's busy schedule and having traveled all the way from Delhi today and reaching Gangtok just a while ago. The EMW team shall remain forever grateful to your lordship. I would also like to extend my warm welcome to Sri N. Rai, Senior Advocate, Mediator, and former President of the Bar Association of Sikkim, for having accepted our invitation to be the guest of honor on such a for the guest speaker on such a short notice. You're coming forward without a second thought for anything related when it comes to activities related to the bar or institute is highly appreciated, and it is in a way a motivation example to be followed by young members of the bar. Welcome, sir. With the effort of all the state coordinators, 14 editions have already been released through a web release event organized from different states every month. And every web release was theme-based. On the 2nd of January 2021, the EMW team launched another pro bono initiative, the EMW First Online Classroom Series 2021 for the law students from 21 states and union territories of our country, with the help of coordinators from 32 states, union territories, pan-India mediators. The idea behind the EMW First Online Classroom Series 2021 was to impart knowledge on mediation. Based on the recently proposed curriculum by the Bar Council of India, throughout the series, we've had leading mediators, speakers deliver lectures to the 77 enrolled students every Saturday. The series came to an end on the 10th of April 2021, wherein students were acknowledged for their dedication to learning mediation online. And the Honorable Mr. Justice Bipin Sanghi, Judge, Delhi High Court, bestowed them with blessings and appreciation certificate. On the 2nd of July 2021, again, the team with its vision towards continuous mediation education commenced with EMW's second online classroom series on mediation 2021 for a new batch of law students enrolled from 26 states and union territories of our country, and even from other countries like Bangladesh, Nepal, Pakistan, United Kingdoms. The second classroom series concluded on the 26th of September 2021. Throughout the series, we've had leading mediators, speakers from India and the international sphere delivering knowledge to the students. The students this time were also motivated to write an essay on is mediation a process incorporating Gandhian philosophy of peace and harmony. The series came to an end on the 8th of October 2021, wherein students were acknowledged for their dedication to learning mediation online, and they were bestowed with blessings and appreciation certificate by the Honorable Mr. Justice Rajendra Kumar Srivastava, Judge, Madhya Pradesh High Court, Honorable Union Minister of State Dr. Subhas Sarkar, Ministry of Education, Government of India, and Mr. Vikas Singh, Senior Advocate and President, Supreme Court of India. Team EMW took another initiative of publishing India's first book on mediation for the law students of our nation, which is structured on the curriculum recommended by the BCI for mediation in LLB courses. The name of the book is Mediation Compendium, and the same was released on the 27th of November 2021 by Honorable Mrs. Hima Kohli, Judge, Supreme Court of India, in a web event, India's first Judges Conclave on Mediation Education organized by Team EMW. Team EMW has now come up with its third batch of its pro bono initiative of EMW Classroom Series on mediation education for our law students. Today, we've all gathered here for the launch of the 15th edition of E-Mediation Writing Magazine as a special edition covering articles on prejudices and biases in mediation, penned by the finest mediators. And I would like to once again extend my warm welcome from this beautiful tiny Himalayan state of Sikkim to all the distinguished guests who've joined us from different corners of the country and abroad. Thank you. Before we proceed further, as goes the tradition with the EMW team, with the launch of before the launch of the magazine, the state from where the magazine is being launched, normally courtesy Pankaj sir, who seems to be a man of multiple talents, he takes us on a virtual tour of the respective states. So Pankaj sir, so if you could take it forward, please.
Yes, thank you, Tashi.
Thank you very much, Pankaj sir. Before we start, let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the presence of Justice Roshan Dalvi, Judge, Honorable Judge, High Court of Bombay. Welcome, Your Lordship. Now, to take this forward with today's program, let me take this opportunity to introduce to the esteemed participants, Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, the chief guest for today. Born on the 12th of July 1964 to late Shri Madan Mohan Rasaili, former Home Secretary, Government of Sikkim, and Mrs. Rabi Maya Rasaili, a former teacher. She did her schooling from different schools in Sikkim and the Darjeeling Hills in West Bengal. After completing school, she pursued political science honors in Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University, on a merit scholarship from the Government of Sikkim, which she completed in the year 1986, and proceeded to join the Campus Law Center, Delhi University, from where she did her 3-year LLB course till 1989. She was enrolled in the Bar Association of Delhi in the year 1990 and worked in the Delhi High Court and Supreme Court of India. She was appointed as Judicial Magistrate First Class cum Civil Judge on 11/12/1990 in the cadre of Sikkim Judicial Services, being the first lady from Sikkim to be appointed to the said post. She was promoted to the post of Chief Judicial Magistrate cum Civil Judge on 20th April 2000, and on 2/8/2004, she was promoted as District and Session Judge in the cadre of the Sikkim Superior Judicial Services, and subsequently on 15/4/2015, she was elevated as Judge, High Court of Sikkim, being the first woman from Sikkim to be elevated to the post and assume charge of the office of the Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Her leadership over the years as a judge has contributed far more to justice than improving its appearance. She has contributed significantly to the quality of decision making and thus to the quality of justice itself. As a judge, she has earned the necessary credentials, gained accomplishments, and met all the standards for judicial selection. I must admit that she is a role model for each and every member of the bar, as well as members of the subordinate judiciary to look up to. Welcome, leadership. Likewise, let me also take this opportunity to introduce to the August gathering our guest of honor for today, Honorable Sri Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, son of late Sri Bhim Raj Pradhan, former Law Secretary and Legal Remembrancer, Government of Sikkim, and Mrs. Bindumati Pradhan, former Joint Secretary, Government of Sikkim. After having completed his schoolings in India and Darjeeling, in Sikkim and Darjeeling, his lordship went on to graduate with BA Political Science Honours degree from Elphinstone College, Mumbai. He obtained Bachelor of Law LLB degree from Government Law College, Mumbai in the year 1991 and enrolled himself with the Bar Council of Maharashtra in August 1991. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan worked as an associate in Khaitan and Company Advocates and Solicitors, New Delhi from 1991 to 1994. And thereafter as an associate in Karan Jwala and Company Advocates and Solicitors, New Delhi from 1994 to 1998. During the period 1991-1998, Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan practiced before the Honorable Supreme Court of India, Honorable Delhi High Court, Honorable Rajasthan High Court, and Jaipur, as well as extensively before subordinate courts, tribunals, commissions, etc. In the year 1998, his lordship resettled in Sikkim and started his practice before the Honorable High Court of Sikkim at Gangtok. His lordship was designated as senior counsel, senior advocate in the year 2008 by the High Court of Sikkim at Gangtok at the age of 42. Justice Bhaskar is a life member of Bar Association of India, New Delhi, Bar Association of Sikkim, and also a member of the Indian Law Institute, New Delhi, for the period 2009 to 2012. His lordship was elected and held the post of the General Secretary of the Bar Association of Sikkim and thereafter its president from the year 2015 till the date of his elevation as a judge of the Honorable High Court of Sikkim on the 23rd day of May 2017. As a young lawyer, I was fortunate to have had the opportunity to work with his lordship and assist him in several cases before his lordship was elevated as a judge of the Honorable High Court of Sikkim. And as a lawyer, his lordship's friendly nature and forever ready to help attitude had young lawyers flooding his chamber without even a bit of hesitation, in fact, with an assurance and confidence in them that they would finally have an answer to their problems or queries. Like the saying goes, someone's loss is someone's gain. Many of us in the bar still feel that his lordship elevation as a judge to the High Court was a gain for the bench, but a huge loss for the bar. Now, may I now request the chief guest for the day, Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Honorable Judge High Court of Sikkim, to formally announce the launch of the special edition of the magazine containing articles on topic biases and prejudices in mediation. Leadership. I think leadership, your mic is, you'll have to unmute your mic.
Sorry. I hereby launch the 15th special edition of the e-mediation writings.
Thank you very much, leadership. May I request Thankajan sir to kindly take us through the magazine, if you could share it on the screen.
Yes, Mr. Teshik.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Thank you very much, Tankachan sir. May I now request the chief guest for today, Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, to bless us with the words of wisdom for the EMW initiative and the release of the special 15th edition launched today from the state of Sikkim, dedicated in memory of late Mr. D.S. Parik ji. Please, leadership.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Before commencing my short address, I would like to thank the team eMediation Writings for the book presented to me titled Mediation Compendium, A Guide for Gen Next, which is the first book on the curriculum recommended by the Bar Council of India on mediation for the LLB course. I have read the articles and found them to be educative, shedding light on all aspects of mediation. I'm confident that students of LLB or any other interested person who reads the compendium will be delighted with the contents and benefit immensely from the articles. We have heard about the milestones achieved by Team EMW in Mr. Barfungpa's address. I extend my heartiest felicitations to the Team eMediation Writings on the unveiling of the 15th special edition of e-magazine dedicated to the memory of late Mr. D.S. Parik, senior advocate and senior mediator, covering articles on prejudices and biases in mediation, and hope that it reaches the target groups, including students of LLB. In this age of technology, it is quick thinking on the part of the EMW to have taken this initiative of launching e-mediation writings and having achieved the stage of unveiling the 15th special edition today, making it accessible to any person on the net. Having participated in the 40 hours training program of mediators conducted by the Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee, Supreme Court of India, way back in May 2009, I'm closely associated with mediation in my state as judge in charge of the Mediation Monitoring Committee and as executive chairperson of the Sikkim State Legal Services Authority. Mediation is, of course, rooted in the traditional methods of dispute resolution and the traditional gacaca system in Rwanda, the Abanzi mediation, and the other systems found in various parts of Africa. Mediation plays a role not only in conflict resolution, but also in bringing about peace and harmony between the warring factions. In Sikkim, in the North District, we actively pursue a traditional method of dispute resolution. Though not strictly by mediation, efforts are made at that level to arrive at settlements between the disputing parties. The system is known as the Zumsa and comprises of a number of village headmen. The settlement methods resemble those of a panchayat system, which is of course prevalent throughout the country. I need not reiterate here that mediation is a procedure for an efficient and cost-effective method in achieving conflict resolution. Not only does it stem acrimony, but at times it enhances the relationship between the parties and is a healing and restorative process between the parties. As the mediator is a mutually suitable, neutral intermediary and facilitator, but not the decision maker, parties to a mediation cannot be coerced into accepting an outcome. Neither can the mediator sit in judgment and decide what is fair or right. The role of the mediator, while acting as a catalyst, is to open up avenues of communication, limiting herself to assisting the parties in reaching a settlement by neither force nor imposition of her will. In my humble opinion, at the beginning of the mediation, an opening statement by the mediator introducing herself to the parties and explaining the nuances of mediation helps to gain their confidence, and in fact, on a lighter note, it may be observed that the opening sentence is the only time that the mediator gets the opportunity to speak for the longest time. It is important to explain that the process is to enable the parties to negotiate freely and engage in unrestrained dialogue, assuring them of privacy and confidentiality of the proceedings, which can lead to quick settlement of disputes. In this situation, the atmosphere of acrimony can largely be decimated. As we are aware, sometimes the disputes arise merely on bruised egos, which need to be bandaged and cared for. The qualities that are imperative for a mediator are articulation, patience, perseverance, empathy, ability to connect with people, win their trust, she essentially has to be an optimist and to see beyond the negative aspects of the dispute. Preparedness on the subject by the mediator is another important aspect, as also quick thinking, which can also be out of the box. She has to enter the arena, if I may say so, sans prejudices, and be ready to face the parties who have ruffled feathers. She has to quickly evaluate the parties and their dynamics while exercising restraint and non interference in the dialogue between the parties. Solutions and suggestions should be consistent with the requirements of the parties and analysis of legal and factual issues garnered with common sense. The advantages of mediation obviously is not only financial, being much more affordable than adversarial litigation, but saves time, is private and confidential, preserves interpersonal relationships between the parties, promotes healing, and is restorative. The private caucuses, which are followed by the joint sessions, allow the mediator the opportunity of putting questions to the party, which may well serve the parties to search their minds for answers and arrive at the best possible outcome to their disputes, realizing during mediation about what actually ails them. As we mature in years, our goals undoubtedly change, and we all realize that the world would be a better place with peace. The aim should be to have peace at all levels, starting from the home and graduating to the community, society, state, nation, and the global level. Undoubtedly, mediation is an effort towards this goal. At the end of the day, we must not lose sight of the fact that we are dealing with human beings, human emotions, which include ego, angst, competition, envy, anger, and a gamut of other feelings. These cannot be dealt with mechanically, and the parties ought to be allowed to shed inhibitions short of any physical engagement, of course, and the solution arrived at. A persistent follow up is necessary. While extending my best wishes again to the team E-Mediation Writings on the unveiling of the 15th special edition of the magazine, I wish the mediators great success in all their mediation efforts and in the quest to spread the word about the advantages of mediation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, your leadership, for sharing your views on the importance of mediation and for your words of encouragement for the entire EMW team. Thank you very much, leadership. Now, to take this forward, may I now request the guest speaker for the day, Mr. Narendra Rai, who's a senior advocate and a senior mediator at the High Court of Sikkim. And apart from being a senior advocate, he is a former president of the Bar Association of Sikkim and one of the most active members. In fact, at the last moment when we requested him to share his views and when we invited him as a guest speaker, he, without even giving a second thought, like always, readily agreed. Thank you very much, sir, once again. So if sir could share your views. Please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Tasi. We are going through the world crisis today on account of war that is being fought by and between Russia and Ukraine. The people, irrespective of the age, whether an old person or a child, man or woman, are indiscriminately being killed by the use of different arms and ammunitions. I wish there is an effective mediation between the two warring countries and the world peace could be restored through the mediation. Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi M. Rai, Honorable Judge of the High Court of Sikkim and the chairperson for today's program, Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar R. Pradhan, Honorable Judge of the High Court of Sikkim and the guest of honor for today's program, Honorable Justice Ramakrishna, Honorable Justice Rotan, and Honorable Justice Pius C. Kuriakos, the former Chief Justice of the High Court of Sikkim and Lok Ayukta for the state of Kerala, Madam Pushp Gupta, advocate and also mediation trainer, coordinator in chief and mediation writing. Sri Thankachan, VP advocate, and also the senior member of the mediation trainer and mediation writing. Sri Tasirapten Borpungpa, advocate coordinator for the Sikkim chapter of Team EMW, and also the General Secretary, Bar Association of Sikkim, High Court, and the Subordinate Court of Sikkim. Sri UP Sharma, advocate, senior mediator, High Court of Sikkim. All the mediators, senior advocates present in this virtual program, the learned members of different judicial services, all my advocate friends, electronic press and media persons, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Conflict is a natural phenomenon in the living being. We have seen conflict among the animals, insects, flies, and even in the plants. The rational being like human being is not an exception. When there is conflict, various methods of conflict resolution system will come to take birth. Mediation, lok adalat, arbitration, and reconciliation are few of the systems given birth to by such conflict for redressal. The various courts functions for adjudicating such conflicts, but at present the courts are also not enough, and the society demands that there should be some alternative dispute resolution system. One of the effective alternative resolution system is mediation by amendment of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908 in the year 1999 has introduced the mediation as one of the dispute resolution system of conflicts. In this provision, the courts may refer the compromisable disputes for mediation if there is some element of settlement. Once the case is referred for mediation by the court, a trained mediator is appointed by the Legal Services Authority of a particular state for mediation. The mediator has to follow certain rules of mediation. When the conflicting parties are summoned for deliberation and settlement, particularly the mediator has to develop the trust in their minds. When only the parties start thinking that the mediator shall bring about a proper solution, they can trust the mediator for such a settlement. In fact, when they start the litigation, parties go to their lawyer or to court with a biasness and conflicting attitude against the other side, as there can be some kind of misunderstanding between the parties giving rise to such a conflict, and unless there is someone who can talk to both, the parties may not be interested in even meeting and talking to the other side. Therefore, mediator facilitates a common table to put each party's grievances. The mediator only mediates, but he does not decide the disputes between the two parties. For mediation, the said parties, the mediator has to adopt the posture, we call it SOLER, S-O-L-E-R. S stands for he should keep his shoulder straight when he talks to any disputing parties. The mediator, then O, the mediator has to keep the mind open so that the mediation can be performed with openness of his own mind and also the mind of the party. L, a mediator should always lean towards the party who is speaking to him. E, a mediator has to keep his eye contact to the party who is speaking to him and a mediator has to remain relaxed throughout the mediation proceeding so that he can properly mediate the matter, and basically he should not look tense or tired or something so that the parties start doubting and thinking about him otherwise. For the sake of bringing the parties to an amicable settlement, a mediator can have caucuses and tell the parties about strong points and the weak points of their cases. He can go even out of the box. It is sometimes even the mediator shall have to go beyond the box of existing rules of the mediation. I remember a civil suit having been settled, going beyond the rules of mediation. This civil suit involved the close relatives and had been pending for last 19 to 22 years before the trial court and had become a chronic case trial court. Perhaps Ladyship has the idea of this. In fact, some Barakoti's case was going on in West Sikkim. So I'm talking about that. Then I was given the last opportunity for mediation after about 6 attempts to compromise had already failed. Since the proposal of settlement came up suddenly before the learned trial court, I called the parties to a particular room in the trial court premises itself. There were about 8 to 9 persons. It was a land dispute. The age of the parties ranged from 30 to 63 years. I made them sit around a table of a table tennis. And as soon as I started the mediation, the younger lot started shouting, saying that they will behead some of the parties with a kukri that in that room itself. Parties started protesting and they also started shouting. A big ruckus and chaos began to develop. I also shouted out at the top of my voice, "Stop it, stop it." But everyone was at their feet of anger and nobody was willing to listen to me. Thereafter, to bring the parties to normalcy, I again said, "Stop," and banged the table with all my strength. Hearing that, they stopped shouting and all looked at me in a state of shock. They looked shocked and maintained the silence. Then I got an opportunity to talk to them in the rational manner. Ultimately, I could settle their chronic case and their dispute, and they were happy. I shall give credit of that settlement to banging on the table. I am not saying that the settlement can be brought about between the conflicting parties by banging on the table, but would like to say that in a proper situation, mediator has to take proper step that may help in settling the matter amicably. I'm thankful to the organizers of this magazine for considering me a person who could speak few things and few words in presence of such the learned person in this virtual gathering. I also thank the Bar Association of Sikkim and Mr. Tasir Apten for giving me an opportunity to speak in this August gathering. EMW team has issued an special issue of magazine in the loving memory of late Mr. D.S. Parikh, senior advocate and senior mediator, who expired recently. May all other mediators also get similar love and affection from this team now and in future. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. As a very senior mediator here in the state of Sikkim, I think it was we, each and every of us who's been trained as a mediator can relate to what you said, the experiences that you shared while dealing with cases as a mediator. Because many a times, although we in the training we taught to keep ourselves confined to the basic guidelines or the principles of mediation, but many a times in order to settle a matter, you can't successfully settle a matter without going a little beyond the prescribed guidelines and principles laid down for mediation. Thank you very much, sir, for sharing your experiences. And now that we've come to the end of today's program, may I now request Mr. Uday Sharma, another senior mediator from the state of Sikkim, to kindly propose the vote of thanks. Sir. Sharma sir, are you there?
Yes.
Mr. Sharma.
I think now I have been unmuted. My Lord, the Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Judge, High Court of Sikkim, and the Executive Chairperson of the Sikkim State Legal Services Authority. My Lord, the Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge, High Court of Sikkim. Honorable Mr. Justice Ramakrishna K, Honorable Mr. Justice Roshan Dalvi, Mr. Niranjan Bhatt, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, Mr. A.S. Chandoik, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, and Mr. A.J. Jawad, Senior Mediator. Ms. Pushp Gupta, Coordinator in Chief E-Mediation Writings, Mr. Tasi Rabden Barpunkwa, Mediator and State Coordinator for Sikkim, Mr. N. Rai, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, High Court of Sikkim, Honorable Judges and retired judges of the various High Courts, mentors, mediators, and other participants. It is indeed a great privilege for me to propose the vote of thanks to this august gathering. I take this opportunity to thank the Honorable Mrs. Justice Meenakshi Madan Rai, Judge, High Court of Sikkim, for sparing her valuable time to be the chief guest of this function and for unveiling the 15th special edition of the e-mediation writings this evening. We are honored to have the presence of the Honorable Mr. Justice Bhaskar Raj Pradhan, Judge, High Court of Sikkim, as the guest of honor for this evening's function. I would like to thank Mr. N. Rai, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, High Court of Sikkim, for being the guest speaker this evening. I would also like to thank the Honorable Mr. Justice Ramakrishna K, Honorable Mr. Justice Roshan Dalvi, Mr. Niranjan Bhatt, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, Mr. A.S. Chandoik, Senior Advocate and Senior Mediator, and Mr. A.J. Jawad, Senior Mediator, for their presence this evening. I would like to take this opportunity to thank Ms. Pushp Gupta, Chief Coordinator EMW, for organizing the unveiling of the special 15th edition of the EMW from Sikkim. Similarly, I want to thank Mr. Tasi Rabden Barpunkwa, Mediator, General Secretary, Bar Association of Sikkim, and State Coordinator for Sikkim, for organizing this function for the unveiling of the special 15th edition of the EMW from Sikkim. Special thanks are due to Mr. Thankanchan, VP, senior member of the EMW, for taking us on a virtual tour of Sikkim. Special thanks are also due to the Bar Association of Sikkim for its contribution for the success of this function. I would like to express my deep gratitude to each and every member of the EMW who have contributed articles for the special 15th edition of the EMW. And in particular, I would like to, at this stage, mention the name of Miss Kiran Kalra, because she, just now I've come to know that she is the daughter of one of our former registrars, and he was also a district judge. I had the privilege of appearing before him, Mr. G.S. Kalra. So Miss Kiran Kalra is his daughter. Finally, I would also like to thank all the mediators, mentors, and other participants for sparing your time to be with us this evening. This special evening edition of the 15th EMW will be shared with everyone in their respective WhatsApp groups. Thank you all, and wishing you a very happy Mahashivaratri.
Thank you very much, sir. With this, we've come to the end of today's program. And I would once again like to thank you all for
Rashi, please unmute
Rashi, please
yourself.
unmute.
Unmute.
Unmute, Rashi, please. Please unmute. Rashi.
I'm extremely sorry.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Sharma sir. Now that we've come to the end of today's program, before we conclude, I would once again like to thank each and every one of you for sparing your valuable time and being present here today for and attending this function. May I now request, with the permission of your lordships and seniors, may I now request, seek your permission to conclude today's program. Thank you very much. Pankaj sir, can we?
Yes.
Please. Thank you very much.
Thank you.